Hey everyone, I'm coming to you today from the road. I am not on the road covering the Pittsburgh Penguins in Western Canada. I'm on the road playing the role of sports executive. You might recall from episode 1 of the Debrief, it's one of the other hats that I wear in my world. I wasn't planning on releasing an episode here today, but I want to, because I want to weigh in on this whole Tristan Jarry situation. This will be much more of an informal episode of the Debrief here today. I'm actually in an ice rink right now as we speak. It's interesting, before the road trip, I actually said to a few individuals in my Pittsburgh hockey circle that I thought this was coming, that I thought it would be a wise move to shut Tristan Jarry down. And you know what? Take a page out of Brad Treliving's playbook. For those of you that don't recognize that name, Brad Treliving is the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Last year, the Maple Leafs shut Ilya Samsonov down for a period of time to allow him to focus on himself, his physical game and his mental game. And Samsonov came back stronger, more confident, and was a better goaltender. So this is a very wise move, and I am in total support of this decision for both Jarry and the Pittsburgh Penguins. No one wins here if Tristan Jarry is not at his best. It's not good for Jarry, it's not good for the Penguins, it's not good for the team, it's good for no one. So this is a smart move. What I thought the Penguins would do is leave him home in Pittsburgh, because I thought this was the ultimate opportunity for something like this. Think about it. He would be away from the limelight. He would be able to sleep in his own bed. He would be able to establish his own routine for 7 or 8 days straight. He would have access to unlimited ice, or close to it. And he would have access to all of the resources at the UPMC sports complex in Cranberry. The only downside of leaving Jarry home, or downsides, would be, I've thought of two. One would have been, maybe he gets a little bit lonely being away from the team, but he is a human being, but he's a professional. And downside number 2 would be, well, a lot of the staff that could help him are probably with the team. I thought they would leave him home. When they took him on the trip, but still decided to shut him down for the first few days, my psychology then is what Dan Kingerski shared yesterday when he addressed all of you here on the channel. Okay, they're going to put him in the net in Edmonton, where he played junior hockey for the Edmonton Oil Kings of the Western Hockey League, or they're going to put him in the net in Vancouver, his hometown. He'll be in front of friends, he'll be in front of family, he'll be in a familiar landscape. Maybe that does something for his confidence. Essentially build him up for one of the last 2 games of the road trip. But according to Mike Sullivan, sending him home, that was the plan all along. When Sullivan was asked yesterday in the media scrum, was this the plan? He emphatically, and in a fairly terse manner, said, short, sweet, and to the point,
yes.
Well, here's my challenge back to the Penguins, and I'm not the only one saying this. What I'm articulating to you all is I am part of the group that thinks that this is bizarre. Why didn't they state this from the beginning? And here's what I want to share with you. Kyle Dubas, whether you like him or not, you can't deny that he's intelligent, he's articulate, and he has spent the bulk of his professional career in Toronto, which is the speculation capital of the National Hockey League. Kyle Dubas, more than anyone, understands the importance of controlling the narrative, especially when you're in Canada with TSN, Sportsnet, and all these added bright lights on you. I'm really surprised that neither Sullivan nor Dubas shared that this was the plan from the beginning. I have to question that something happened over the last day or 2 or 3. Am I speculating? Yes. Am I not taking Mike Sullivan at face value? Correct. I'm not taking Mike Sullivan at face value, because I don't believe that this was the plan, because I think Dubas is way smarter than this for the reasons that I just shared. So let's just say, indulge me for a second, because we're having a conversation right now where we're having a coffee here in the rink. We're having a beer. We're just hanging out. What may have happened? Here's a couple thoughts. The first 3 or 4 days don't go so well. So Andy Chiodo, the goalie coach, Mike Sullivan, and Kyle Dubas sit down and say, you know what, this is a good idea. We brought him on the trip. Jars isn't getting much out of this. He's a little bit down being around the guys, but not being in the lineup. We better send him home so that we can maximize the last few days of us being gone and Jars being at home before the homestand next week. So that's option one. Jarry's down. We're not maximizing this. Let's send him home and get what we can out of the last few days that the team's on the road trip. I'm surprised that they didn't say that or state something like that. I'm surprised in Sullivan's very firm, yes. Period at the end of the sentence, put it to bed. I'm surprised. All right, perhaps Dubas has something in the works. Likelihood of that, slim to none. Dan would have told you yesterday if he was of the belief that Dubas had something cooking. I know there were some wild and crazy rumors out on the interwebs over the last couple of days, but I was also scrolling my social media 2 days ago and read a headline, Patrick Waugh fired as head coach of the New York Islanders. Like, some of these people, some of these sites, they just lie to you. So I'm with Dan. I don't think Kyle's got anything in the works. Is there a 1% possibility and they don't want him to get injured? Yeah, maybe. Bottom line is something happened. What is that something? I don't know. But something went down. Okay. So yes, I'm part of the club that thinks that this is strange. I'm part of the club that thinks this is a little bit bizarre. And I'm part of the club that feels if this was the original intent, you could have messaged and handled this way better for everybody's sake. And what's funny is you're going into Edmonton and you're going into Vancouver, where the media is a lot louder than it is in even Winnipeg and Calgary. The Vancouver media is really interesting. They jump on you pretty good. So whether Mike Sullivan wants it or not, he's going to get asked about this again, especially in Jarry's hometown of Vancouver. So get ready, Sully, because I don't think you've heard the last of these questions. Now, I want to flip the page, and the coach in me is going to address you. And I want to talk a little bit about what I think Andy Chiodo and the organization has done with Jarry over the past few days, and what John Elkin, one of the goalie development coaches who now is going to take the ball from Andy Chiodo, what he's going to do with Jarry over the next few days. I think the approach and the plan with Jarry is based on 3 things. Number 1 is video. Video of Jarry's struggles. Let's sit down together. Let's look at some of the goals against. Let's look at the areas of Jarry's individual game where he hasn't appeared comfortable. And then let's take the video, and this is my second point, try and recreate as many of the situations that have given Jarry a hard time in the game, on the ice, without a scoreboard. So we might need to involve some players to help us do that. We might need to get staff members involved, but let's recreate the scenarios with no pressure, not in a 60-minute hockey game, so that if Jarry walks away improved and feeling good, he now has more confidence. We're going to work on the technical side of his game as well, yes, but let's recreate the scenarios that we just watched in the video. And then the third objective, I have to think there is a sport or performance psychologist involved here. Ask most athletes and they'll tell you sport is 80 to 90% a mental game. But it's interesting. Athletes typically don't spend 80 to 90% of the time practicing their mental game. They spend 80 to 90% of the time practicing their physical game. I've got to think that confidence is an issue. I've got to think that as the great sports psychologist, Dr. Saul Miller says, Jarry's mental TV is not on the right channel. And a sport or performance psychology from inside the Fenway Sports Group's massive ecosystem is involved here to try to help Jarry. You know, all of us, there is a relationship. How we think affects how we feel affects how we act. I've got to think there is an expert working with Tristan Jarry on that type of stuff right now. So I wanted to share a little bit about kind of how I've reacted to this, and I wanted to give you some perspective on what I think is going on with Tristan Jarry. The bottom line is, if Tristan Jarry is not 100% physically, mentally, it's no good for anybody. No one wins here. His value doesn't climb. The team is not in the best chance to be successful. Tristan Jarry's not in a happy mood. Kyle Dubas and Mike Sullivan are having to answer more questions. So Tristan Jarry needs to be at his best. The Pittsburgh Penguins need Tristan Jarry to be at his best for a variety of reasons. The intent here, in my opinion, I'm absolutely on board with. The sequence of events and the messaging, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to want to do over with this one. Okay, whether you are in Jarry's corner or not, whether you're happy with where the Penguins are at or not, as I always say, enjoy the Penguins. Enjoy tonight's game against Edmonton, by the way, and enjoy our great sport, because it is the absolute best. Thanks, everybody, for watching this informal episode of The Debrief, and we'll see you next time.